Just last week, we had this talk, and we had Ministerial Nominees, and we were trying to define youth, and they pegged it at 40, and we were amazed. I was like, wait a minute, I'm happy you just extended it to 45. So, what's the thinking of the party when it comes to this agitation by young Nigerians saying, wait a minute, Mr. President, we haven't seen anyone in our group being in that list?
No, the party obviously is all-inclusive and has a very, very committed focus on the young people of this nation who have come of age, who are champions of industry in every facet of the economy. But, you know, the constitutional provisions give Mr. President the sole right to choose his nominees. So I can inform you that even the governors were not consulted because it is his prerogative. So he's not out of line to have chosen his list on his own volition. So these are some of the things that the party would have to harmonize with Mr. President. There's also, I'm sure Mark will agree with me here, there's also the other pressure group, the women, you know, that feel there should have been better representation, and I agree, of course, in his cabinet. So these are things that I know that the party will begin to harmonize with the president as we expect the next list.
At the moment, I'm excited because you're a lawmaker. Now we can put the ball on the court of the lawmakers, because sometimes we always come with excuses especially for the president, saying that he has prerogative. Over the years, some of these issues would have been sorted out if only the lawmakers had done something about the Constitution. So it goes back to Constitutional Amendment. We have left a whole lot unattended to, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. And that is why you see this 8th Assembly. I will not hold brief for the upper chamber, but at least for the House of Representatives, we have come up with a very exhaustive legislative agenda that seeks to address some of these issues. You can see that in amending our rules, we made a very key amendment which allows the House not to have to start the process of going over acts that have already been looked at in the previous assembly. Now, this is understanding the amount of resources and time we waste, you know, in arriving at meaningful legislation that will affect the lives of the people. So that in itself is a huge step already in trying to curb these limitations that we have had.
So if I'm getting you correctly, you're not quite happy with the recommendations that, or beg your pardon, the provisions of the Constitution that, you know, stipulate how the president should appoint a minister, or the conditions. You think that there should be more conditions?
No. I'm not saying I'm not happy. I'm saying that every aspect of the Constitution that needs to be looked at will be looked at. That provision, I think, within reasonable limits, is acceptable because of the fact that it's his cabinet. He needs to work with them. So I'm not against that. But it should also be guided by certain considerations as well.
I mean, you've listed all of these things, and yet you say the APC is united behind the president. It's very difficult to see the cause of unity when there are all this but. You know, the president appoints people from here, the youths are not represented, not enough women on the list, you know, and it goes on and on. How do we still say that you're behind the president or not?
No, we are. It's always instructive to note that the APC is not trying to bamboozle Mr. President. We're also trying to represent the Nigerian people in every aspect, just like Mr. President is. So in every issue, we're being sincere about the circumstances, and we'll be able to highlight certain issues that need to be addressed. That is a responsible government, if you know what I mean. So Mr. President has come up with his list, which was his prerogative. So we're just saying that a lot of us were not privy to it. So at this point, we're saying, okay, these and these and these are issues, or would Nigerians rather that we did not advise?
Because I'm just wondering, though, if you say that your people are not quite happy because they think that, well, we supported the president, we too should have been given. It's just going to be one position, and that position is going to represent the whole of Benue State, if I'm not wrong. Is the governor from you're part of the state?
Yes,
the governor is thief.
Yes.
And the thief people want more. I'm just asking, is that what you're saying? I mean, if you say the governor is thief, it means that the other ethnic groups don't really have much, as it were.
No, that's not what we're saying. We're talking about being able to appreciate the contribution.
In other words, total reward should have come from there. I mean, and even if there were like small bits of people who supported Mr. President from other ethnic groups, shouldn't be taken into account.
No, it should be taken into account, but there are other positions that some other
they should get the smaller posts, not the bigger posts.
I don't know whether they're bigger or smaller posts, but they should get their other positions. That
but you means people in your group too can get those other posts, can't they?
Well, in the present circumstances, that's what it appears it's going to be.
And that would not be satisfactory?
It will not be something that would have been what was expected, but it would be understood in the circumstances.
Okay, let's wind down with this one. What do you expect when the screening begins tomorrow?
I expect that the very distinguished senators would do due diligence in the screening of the nominees. I expect that they will eschew political inclinations and put the interest of the country forward, because some of the vituperations coming from pressure groups are because of political reasons, not because those individuals are not qualified. I expect that they would, on the basis of constitutional provisions, the code of conduct, be able to not be so firm on some of the Senate rules with regards to the number of senators, you know,
I was just wondering though, what did you make of those rules? Because as yesterday, I think some of the papers, we watched through stories that some of the senators said they never passed such a resolution.
Yes, it's interesting to know that there's contentions already within the senators about whether or not that was what was agreed upon. But I think trying to get a middle ground from the comments of the Senate chairman on media and other senators, I think the issue is they have standing rules that say 2 senators from the state should approve, but they agreed that in this circumstance they will not be so strict about that rule. That is my own conclusion, and I want to advise them to toe that line.
Have they ever been strict, knowing full well what happened in the last dispensation? You know, the Senate President has the powers to overrule. Recall what happened with Senator Banikoro.
Yes, and that is what many senators are referring to as well. You know, so I believe that will definitely come to play on the floor of the Senate tomorrow. And then also it's important that in the choice, in the confirmation of these nominees, we also look at those individuals who can bring that required change in the operation of our MDAs as well. We want ministers who can have an intranet setup in their ministries, who understand operations these days, who are able to move with the trend in administration globally, global best practices.
All right. You see the caliber there in this list?
Yes, a few individuals, yes, I believe.
A few?
Yes.
That's trouble.
The others will not have internet in the offices.
Probably. But we'll see.
Well, Honorable Mark Gbillah is a member of the APC in the House of Representatives. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. We've got other perspectives coming up today as well, so don't go away yet.